I'm Maryjane Byarm, and I am 21 years old. I moved to Shanghai, China, August of 2016, and I've been here ever since.
我们将在5分钟内着陆，请留在座位上，直到灯亮。感谢您与我们的飞行，欢迎来到中国。
After living here for 1 year,
我的家一共有8个姐姐。一个。Done my exam. I'm done, meaning I'm done school. I'm so happy. So happy. I will go to celebrate. Psych. Oh, well, my idea of celebrating, which means getting some food. You know what I mean? Pat myself. 你好。这有3个小孩。对。好的。谢谢。Okay, I definitely want to start off with one of the lies that I was told before I started traveling, and that was that the world is racist. So the beginning of my travel journey started in China. If you guys don't know, I have a million videos talking about how I became a traveler, but in a nutshell is I was going through a really hard time in school, and there was just a lot going on, and I have always wanted to be somebody like, okay, I'll just say I want to be a film composer. I still want to be a film composer. I still am going to be a film composer. That's somebody who writes soundtracks for movies. But I was feeling discouraged because I was doing a lot of research, and all of my heroes that I wanted to be like, everybody, none of them went to school for 4 years, graduated with good grades, and then became these amazing people. Like, none of them. So people that are my heroes are like, I don't want to be like Steve Jobs, but I just like his success level. Steve Jobs, Hans Zimmer, he is like exactly what he's has the job I am gonna have one day that I want. He's a film composer, he's a billionaire, and he writes soundtracks for movies. His life wasn't like that. He didn't go to college for 4 years, graduate with good grades, and then become this amazing person. Nobody I looked up to, and I was like, nobody great in life went to college for 4 years, graduated, and then became these amazing people. They all had these amazing life stories, and I was feeling kind of basic. I was like, I was in school in Boston for film composing, but I just was like, I'm not gonna get anywhere with this. I was looking around in the hallways every time I'd go to school, and I'm like, there's a million amazing musicians amongst me, you know? Like, and I'd walk past classrooms and I'd see people, you know, just, I went to like a musical, and Boston is a very musical city. So I'd walk past, you know, and always see the greatest, the best, the people who got straight A's and everything. And they're just amazing musicians. And I was like, it takes more than to be an amazing musician to get to the level I want to get to. You know, like there's a million good, amazing artists in the world. How am I gonna stand out amongst these people? You know, and you're always supposed to believe in yourself, and I always did believe in myself. Like, yeah, I am a really good musician. I believe in myself. That's what I was known for in high school. You know, I was the music girl. I got a scholarship from my high school for college to go for music, because, you know, that's just what I was known for. But I was just feeling discouraged, so I'm like, you know what, I'm never gonna make it doing this. So I was looking at all my heroes, and I was like, Hans Zimmer had this amazing life. He dropped out of college, and then like he met the Beatles in some bar he was playing at, and he made his whole family mad because when he dropped out of school, and his family turned against him. Steve Jobs, we all know, he did horrible in school, horrible grades. He never showed up to class and he got kicked out. Even Einstein got horrible grades and got kicked out of school and just did horrible. And I was like, if all these great people, what the heck am I doing here? You know, not that school's terrible, but I just felt like I'm gonna be a great one day and I'm not on the right path. Plus I was going through some things. I told you guys before, I like this boy, and the boy basically, I had found out that like I was talking to this guy for like 2 years on and off, but he would never go in public with me ever. But I had never had a boyfriend before, and I was 19 years old, and that was the first boy I ever talked to. I still have never had a boyfriend, but he was like the first serious, for me, guy I ever talked to, because he was the only guy I ever talked to. This is confusing. But anyways, he was never my boyfriend. He had a girlfriend the whole time, and I didn't know that. So I had found out around this time that he had a girlfriend the whole time, that I knew him like the entire time. I knew him. He had a girlfriend that he had since he was like young, and this boy was 3 years older than me, 4 years older than me. But anyways, he had a girlfriend for way before I even met him. So I was just finding that out, and I should have known because we never went out in public together, and I always thought it was because, I don't know, I just didn't think that's why. So anyways, I was really depressed about that, and there were some other things going on I was depressed about, and I was just in a bad place, and I had stopped going to class, my grades slipped, and I was just in a bad place. My sister was living in China already. She was modeling there. She was also going to school there. So my mom was like, and I also was like, this sounds so dramatic, but it's true. I was sitting on the porch, you know, at my family's house, and there was a globe sitting on it was like a globe flag. Like, you know how in America we have flags like that you just like put outside of your house? Sometimes it's an American flag, sometimes it's a flag with a picture on it. Like if it's Thanksgiving, it might be a turkey on the flag or something like that. Anyways, the flag that I was staring at had a globe on it, and I was staring at it and I was like, I just need to get out. That's what I need to do. I need to get out of this country. I have never left America before. I need to get out of here. It's the only way I'm gonna get sane. I need to leave and discover myself. I need to have a life-changing experience. So I asked my sister, how would you feel about me going to China with you for about 3 to 6 months? Which ended up being way longer than that. And she's like, yeah, come over. She's so, you guys know, you don't know her, but she's very nonchalant. She's like, yeah, come over. And I'm like, oh, I didn't think it was gonna be that simple. So I ended up going at the end of that summer, and I did not go back to school. So I went to China, and immediately, like the first 2 weeks, I was like, I don't know about this. I didn't like it. But then I slowly started to fall in love with China, and it was like a rebirth. This is a whole different story I cannot get into because it's just too, you know, it's too much to talk about right now. But it was like a whole rebirth of Maryjane Byarm. I was a completely different person before that situation happened to me. So China changed me so much. Anyways, so I was like, the biggest thing everybody told me when I was gonna move to China is, good luck, they're racist. Every time I told somebody, they're like, they either told me I was a liar, she's such a liar, she's not going to China, or they would say, good luck, they hate black people. Good luck, you're gonna be treated racist. Good luck, they're gonna look at you like you're crazy and they're not gonna accept you and you're gonna have a terrible life over there. I didn't get one good thing. Nobody said one good thing to me about China. Everybody was saying that they're racist, horrible things about Chinese people, trying to discourage me, trying to make me not go. There were some people who were upset the fact that I was not going back to school. But my mom was like, just go and don't worry about it. So I went to China and I didn't know, you know, it was the weirdest thing landing, you know. It was funny because I flew to LA from New Jersey. I'm from New Jersey. And then from LA, I had a flight to Shanghai, China. And my plane was one of those giant planes that have 2 floors, like the huge, it was the biggest plane I'd ever been on, so it was so cool to me to be on a plane that big, because prior I'd never been on a plane that big because those planes only fly international, you know. So the flight was around 18 hours, I think it was 17 or 18 hours or something like that. And it was just Chinese people, and it was my first experience just being around Chinese people, like actually from China, not Chinese Americans, but just Chinese people that are actually from China. And it was actually interesting. And then the plane landed in China and I was just like, everybody's speaking Chinese, everything in the airport is in Chinese, I have no Wi-Fi on my phone, I'm in Chinese, I have no Wi-Fi on my phone, I'm trying to connect to Wi-Fi, but they're telling me you need a Chinese phone number to connect to the Wi-Fi, and I'm just like having a panic attack. And everybody was trying to help me, and that was like my first experience like being a foreigner. Kind of could tell that I didn't know Chinese and that I was a foreigner, obviously, and everybody was trying to help me. And I was like, my sister lives here and I don't know, you know, where she is. She's gonna be picking me up somewhere. And they're like, okay, well, what's your sister's phone number? And we'll call her for you. And I'm like, oh, I think it's 33 something, I don't know. And not 33, that's France, but you know, she had a Chinese phone number. They helped me contact her. And it was so weird. So I was waiting for like the racism. I was waiting for people to stare. Nobody was looking at me. Nobody was staring. Nobody was doing anything. And that was just like my first like, wow. So that's when I started to realize what people say is wrong. Before, I believed everything American media said, like most Americans. If it's on the news, it's true. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just it. So I always believed what people said, what was on the news. They wouldn't put it on the news if it weren't true. The rest of the world is dangerous. If you're American, don't leave America unless you're going to like touristy places like Paris or Spain or France or Italy. Don't go places, you know, that's on the news that the news said you shouldn't go to. America media does not paint a good picture of China, so I had a very bad opinion of China. So I remember when I first moved there, I was like, wow, this place is beautiful. So I was just like, whoa, I need to see more of what's out here. I heard that China's racist. It's not racist. And the beautiful thing about learning a language, I learned to speak Chinese when I was in China. And the beautiful thing is I could understand what people were saying, and in China, the Chinese people, they don't think that the foreigners know Chinese, because there will be people who live in China for years and not know Chinese. that are foreigners, because they kind of just stick with their own type of people. Like there's a lot of Russians in China, but the Russians don't know how to speak Chinese, most of them, because they stay with the other Russians and they just speak Russian to each other. They don't bother to learn. So every time I spoke Chinese in China, all the Chinese people are looking like, she knows Chinese. And then they go crazy talking to us. But every single day you can ask, you don't know my sister, but if you did know her, you could ask her, you know, what did people say all the time about me and my sister when we were walking around? Me and Christina, we're not idle. We both can't sit still. So we weren't just living in China, going to the grocery store and staying in our apartment. We were all over the place, and everywhere we went, we'd hear people saying like, whoa, like Tasha很漂亮, like means she is so pretty, or美女means like a beautiful woman. And that's what people were always saying around us, about us, and we'd turn around and be like, oh, like she see it, and they'd look at us like, did you just say thank you, you know, like you understood what we said? And we're like, yeah, we understood what you said. And they go, oh my gosh, and then they start rambling off Chinese. The first experience was really learning about Chinese people, you know, and learning that everything that I heard about them in America was false. They, you know, they're so kind, and people go, well, yeah, the reason you've never experienced racism in China is because you went to the big cities. No, I went all around that country. I don't know how many places I've been to in China, but it's been a lot. My school, we even went on field trips all the time. I have those vlogs on my channel of some of the field trips we went on. That was like way in the beginning of my channel. But like I've been to Shanghai. Nobody goes to Shanghai. Not even other Chinese people, you know. I've been to Jugabagua. Nobody goes to Jugabagua, you know. Not, like I said, not even other Chinese people, you know. They're like, in Jugabagua, literally, we learned that when we were there, it's just old Chinese people, literally. And they were saying, like, when these Chinese people die off, like, this town isn't really going to exist anymore, because no new blood is coming to Jugabagua. It's just older Chinese people. And that was like, I think that's amazing. Anyways, this is turning into a China video, but you'll see where I'm going to work in what I'm trying to say. I can't wait to go back to Shanghai. I'm going to go back in January. When I have women, like my next door neighbor, me and my sister's next door neighbor, she'd always come to our apartment and kill the rats. And she is, I think, in her 90s. She's 90 years old, and she'd always cook me and my sister food when we were broke. Sometimes we had no money for dinner, and she'd like make up all this stuff and let us have it if we want. And then my sister used to go over there and say, me and my sister we shared a bed in the apartment. It was a giant bed though, and we literally would be, well, she'd be on top of me, and we'd be in the corner like this, scared because there'd be a rat somewhere. Like when it gets cold in China, most people deal with rats issues. But I mean, it's not a rat, it's a mouse, because we wouldn't be able to handle a rat. It's a mouse, and it was like this big. But me and my sister would just be so scared we couldn't sleep. And we'd go, well, I shouldn't say we, but my sister used to go to our neighbor, and she's like in her 90s, like I said, and she'd be like, there's a mouse and we're scared. And Chinese people literally aren't afraid of anything, okay? They're the fearless. And it's like I said, China changed me. It really did, and it made me who I am today. Well, God made me who I am today, Jesus. But he used China to change me. And honestly, a lot of the reasons about the way I am, a lot of the, how do I say this? I am the way I am because of China. Anyways, I took a lot from Chinese people and Chinese culture. Anyways, it's why I don't take medicine anymore. They don't really do medicine. They do like, if they do medicine, it's like holistic things, like Anyways, I'll get into that. I keep jumping around, but anyways, my sister goes to the lady and she's like, there's a mouse and we can't sleep. And literally our next door neighbor just busts the door open. And it's funny because she had a baby in her hand. It was like her granddaughter or something like that, or her great granddaughter, and she has a great granddaughter in one hand. And she walks to our apartment and she's like, where is it? And we're like, it's under the sink. And she just rips the cabinet open underneath the sink, and she sees the mouse. And we made a joke like, Chinese people are not afraid of anything. So like even the animals are afraid of Chinese people. Me and my sister would always say that. So the mouse was just like frozen when it saw the lady like bust open the cabinet, and she just picked her foot up and stomped on the head of the mouse. And me and my sister were just like, and she just picked it up, put it in the trash outside. It was so funny. But anyways, she said, I remember the day I left China, the last time I left, she saw me and she was like, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm going to travel. And then she's like, when are you coming back? I'm like, I don't know, it's gonna be a while. I had no idea I was gonna end up traveling to 100 countries. I'll tell you that much. I did not know that. But I was like, I'm just gonna travel. And yeah, I don't really know when I'm gonna come back. It might be a long time. And she was like, whenever you come back, you better come back here and have dinner at my house. And she's like, are you gonna be coming back for Chinese New Year? And I was like, no, you know, because she was talking about the next Chinese New Year. But she's like, if you ever do, you are coming to eat, because you guys know Chinese New Year is huge in China. In all of Asia, it's huge. And she's like, yeah, better come back and eat at my house. But I might not do that because I have a friend, Anna, and she wanted me to eat at her house for Chinese New Year. That's what I'll do. You know what? This Chinese New Year, I'm gonna go to my friend Anna's house. Okay, anyways, all over the place here, but it was kind of my first eye-opening experience seeing that what people say is not true, and that media is skewed. And there'd be so many times, there's been so many times where my mom has called me and was like, I just heard there's a huge earthquake in Bali, and I know you're in Bali right now. Are you okay? Are you okay? It's all over the news in America. And literally I'm looking outside, everybody is chilling. And Bali's tiny, literally. And then there's so many times where I was in like Shanghai, and she'd be like, I see on the news there's a typhoon in Shanghai and it's hitting the coast of Hong Kong. And oh no, I was in Hong Kong that time. I see there's a typhoon hitting Hong Kong right now in America. It's all over the news. And are you okay? Take shelter. And literally it's like a sprinkle of rain. Or when I was in Turkey, Donald Trump said over the news, I was in Turkey, literally, and Donald Trump had said that same day I arrived in Turkey, travel warning, Americans, do not go to Turkey. The Turkish people will kill you and they'll hold you hostage. Same thing when I was in Russia. There was a travel warning against Russia. They're gonna take Americans hostage. And when I'm there, literally everybody is so chill and so nice and the most positive people ever. And it just hasn't been my mom. I get DMs all the time and people say, I know you're in this country and I'm seeing it on the news. Are you okay? And there's literally nothing going on. Literally everything's okay. So American media, I realize, this is just my opinion, it's a lot of propaganda. We want to seem like the best country. So in the media, we try to make other countries look bad. Like, oh, the world is so dangerous. Look what's on the news this day. Look what's on the news that day. Don't leave America. It's dangerous out there. When in reality, the media makes things 10 million times worse than they actually are around the world. I guess that's what I learned about traveling, is I have never ever experienced racism while traveling. And you know, I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. People get very upset when I say this, particularly black people get very upset at me when I say that the world is not racist, because they think I'm saying racism doesn't exist. And I'm not saying that. I know racism exists, but if it's so bad, then how come I've been to 104 countries and I haven't experienced it outside of America? Because the world is not racist. Now, there are a lot of racists in the world, but the world is not racist. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. It's just not. I would have experienced it. When everybody told me in China, they're gonna hate you. Now, they do stare in China. There have been times where I'm stared at. It's not every day. It's like either if, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have friends who go to Africa with my friend, she's Russian. So she's really tall, really skinny, really pale. And she went to, was it Zambia? Yeah, she went to Zambia. And she said, like, everybody's like, and she's an Instagrammer, so she took pictures, and all the pictures of like all the African people looking at her like, you know, because some of them had never seen a white woman before. And then it's weird enough, not only are you seeing a white woman, but she's in your country where there isn't any. So it's the same thing of me being in China. So they stare and they take pictures, but they are so incredibly kind, especially when they find out you speak their language. So anyways, the thing I learned, I guess in a nutshell, is that the world isn't racist. I can think of like 2-3 instances where people were rude to me. People are so kind, oh my gosh, around the world, especially when the more awkward or the more weird of a country I was in, the nicer the people. Let me explain. So the more unexpected of a country for a young American girl to go to, the more kind I was treated. You get what I'm saying? For example, Argentina. Not a lot of black people go to Argentina. Everybody told me they're racist in Argentina. They're gonna lynch you. They hate you. Don't go there. I went there and everybody was incredibly kind to me. And the thing they'd all say was, and the reason they were so extra nice is because they said, we thought Americans didn't like us. We thought you guys hated us. We've never seen a young American girl before, especially traveling alone. And so nobody was racist to me. And then people, when I said before in videos that nobody has ever been racist to me while traveling, and I've been to 104 countries and I have never had a racist experience, people go, there are comments saying, well, you don't know if they're talking about you under their breath. That is not racism. I said I haven't experienced racism, okay? If you're at the grocery store and you're ringing up your groceries and the cashier is saying under her breath, this white person or this black person, I don't like this person, but it's under her breath completely and you don't hear it. That's not racism. That's not an act of racism. You can't report that. That's not an experience you had. That's a woman saying under her breath something. You know what I'm saying? So regardless if somebody was saying something under their breath about me, that's not an act of racism. I'm saying I have never experienced racism while traveling. I'm not saying I've never experienced, I never said that I read minds and people's minds are saying that they like me. But okay, there's already a saying, okay? If you take one piece of advice from Maryjane Byarm, take this. Believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. That is one of the most true statements or sayings I've ever heard. If traveling around the world has taught me anything, it's that just because something is common does not make it true. And the more common to me something is, the more I don't agree with it. Oh yeah, from the last video, I'm trying to think of comments people were saying, and people were asking me if the world, since I've been in probably over 1 million plane rides, and I've been around the world, is the earth flat? No, it's not flat, okay? How do I know this? Because I've seen the curve. If you guys have had a long flight, you guys know that those things go so high in the sky. One time, we were so high in the sky, I literally had altitude sickness. It's the worst feeling. It feels like, I can't even explain it. But I was having altitude sickness from being so high in the sky. And usually the longer the flight, the higher you go. Like I had a flight from New York to Taiwan, and the flight was 18 hours. And it was a beautiful giant plane. I think it was an Airbus 350, 600. I can't remember what it was, but it was a giant plane, and it was one of the biggest planes I've ever been on. Beautiful. And I've been flying, and we're chasing the sunrise, so the sun is rising and setting. It's rising on this side and setting on. Anyways, you see the sun rise over the curve of the earth, you know? It's not flat. And if the earth was flat, how can I fly from 4 times I've flown from LA to China. How does that happen? How can that happen if the earth doesn't wrap around? If it's not a wraparound? How can I fly from LA to China, to Shanghai, which is right on the end, and it's quick? Anyways, I think this video is long enough. I'm gonna go edit it and try to put it up right now. And let's see if I can get it up. It's already late. What time is it? It's already late, so we'll see if I get it up today. I really want to though. I'll see you guys in my next one.